Do you have screens that look like this, either torn up at the bottom, worn, rotted out, or perhaps you have cats that just tear holes in them? Well, today I'm going to show you how to replace these screens. The tools that we're going to need for this are going to be some extra screen, a screen rolling tool, some clamps, and some spline. Obviously, the first thing you have to do is remove the screen. Now, every window is probably a little different. Mine happen to be set up this way. On one side you have a ledge, and the other side you don't. So the way it works is you simply pick it up a little bit, you push it towards the side that doesn't have the little lip, the ledge, it'll pop out, and the whole screen comes out. Now, screens are pretty straightforward. They're really just a screen mesh held in place along a channel with a little bit of rubber spline. So in order to get it out, you can either push up and pop the screen out, or just grab a knife or a pry tool and start picking up the spline. We're going to walk the spline all the way around, screen will come out. So I'm going to use my knife. We're going to pop this up, get it started, and we're going to unzip the whole screen. Spline out, and your screen's out. Now, ideally you'd have a working surface big enough to accommodate the whole screen. I don't, so I'm going to leave it hanging over. But the premise is still the same. You're going to lay the frame down, you're going to roll your screen across it, and this is a method that I learned from my father, so take it or leave it, it's worked for me. You're going to clamp the screen on one end, keeping it nice and straight, and then you're going to stretch it out over the other end, where we're going to begin putting in our spine. When you lay out your spine, make sure you have enough overage on each end so that you don't run short. You're going to pull the whole thing tight, start in the middle, and I'm going to use my spline rolling tool. We're going to get that sucker pushed in there to start. From there, you're going to keep it tight and basically walk the spine in. And then pick up in the other direction. Go over it one more time. Once you've reached the end of the channel with your spine, you're going to take a razor blade and you're going to cut off the excess carefully and then tuck it in with, say, a screwdriver. Speaking of which, you're also going to need a razor blade and a screwdriver or something to push in the rest of the spine at the terminal ends. Now, some people like to roll the spline over each one of these turns. The method that my dad taught me is to basically just cut it on each one, because sometimes getting it around these radiuses can be a real pain in the butt. Also, your choice of spine size is going to vary. You can get 0.125, 0.120, or different sizes. It's going to depend on the size of the channel and screen you're using. Now, the spine that I took out of here was 0.125, and that was using an aluminum screen. I'm opting to replace my screen with these pet-friendly synthetic ones, so they're not as fragile, and I know that between the 0.125 spline and the width of this screen, this is going to form a nice tight seal. Lastly, this type of screen, the synthetic kind, is a lot more forgiving. When I've done aluminum screens in the past, they tend to be a lot more fragile, so you have to be extra careful when rolling in the spline. Because if you are to slip and you cut it on the edge, then you're done. You have to start all over. And it's super easy to do with those thin, cheap aluminum screens. So if your application can call for this synthetic one, I highly recommend it. Now we're going to repeat that same process on each of the two sides. Once you've got the three sides done, you're ready to tackle the last side. So you can go ahead and remove your clamps and basically just repeat that spining exercise on this final side. All right, your screen. Check to make sure it's nice and tight and straight to your liking. And then the last step is going to be to take your razor blade and cut off all the excess material. And then, there you have it. A nice new screen ready for install. Installing is just the opposite of the removal. Put it in the channel, slide it in, onto the next one. So that's how I learned to do screens. If you know a better or different way, please leave them in the comments below. This method has served me well for a little bit, so I hope you learned something. Until the next time, this is Tom the Dilettante. Thank you for watching. Keep on drinking and keep on learning. Have a good one.